everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Alex of coyotestarastrology, and this is my video for the new moon in Gemini coming in on June 17th, 2023, which is a Saturday here in California. However, please do adjust for your current location on the planet as that time and date may change. I am literally rolling my sleeves up for this one. This new moon is really interesting to say the least. Honestly, makes me a little bit uncomfortable. And I don't normally give cautionary warnings around astrological events, but I kind of do with this one, you guys. We at the very least definitely want to make sure that we're informed. There's a lot of ins and outs and what have yous and complexities about this chart, so we're going to take our time with this one and really understand what's going on. But before I do, real quick announcement. If you were unable to make the live recording of the Jupiter Taurus Quantum Creating webinar, I have the live recording available now. You can reach out to me at coyotestarastrology@gmail.com to ask about more information on the webinar or get a copy. Really cool webinar. We go through Jupiter's transit through Taurus. I give you guys key dates for that transit that span all the way into next year, which can be really helpful. You can plug those into your calendar or your planner to work with them. We talk about Jupiter and Taurus and why it's good for manifestation, particularly around finances. And then the second half of the webinar, we talk about manifestation and quantum creating in general. I share tricks and tools that I've developed over the years, as well as a super fun and optional 30-day quantum creation challenge. So if you have been following me on Instagram at Earth2Coyote, I'll put that up on the screen. You may have seen these posts recently, and I keep getting DMs of people asking me, is it too late to join? No, it's not too late to join the challenge. You can start the challenge at any time. In fact, this new moon is honestly kind of perfect for it, and I did not plan it that way, but we'll talk about why as we get into the new moon. Okay, so let's get into the new moon. I said that I felt called to give you guys a little bit of a cautionary warning about this new moon, and there's really two areas that I would say this about. The first area would be caution around anything that's beginning around this time. And the second would be caution around things involving relationships. Those are my two big kind of red flags involving this new moon, and we will talk about why. So let's start with the new moon itself. Here it is, 26 degrees Gemini. Not my favorite part of the zodiac, to be honest with you. That last decan of Gemini, this 26 degrees is actually exactly opposite the galactic center. So that alone is a little bit tripped out. I will also say that the last decan of Gemini and why it's not my favorite is that it is associated with the 10 of Swords tarot card, which we will get into in a second. But yeah. So we have a 26-degree new moon. A new moon, as we know, is a new intention or a new seed planted. So this is the beginning of something. And ideally, beginnings are clear. Beginnings, we want the foundation of any beginning to be sturdy and clear, and we want to put our best foot forward. Unfortunately, we do not find that to be the case in this chart whatsoever. Looking here at our new moon, the first problem area comes right away when we notice that the new moon is square to Neptune, almost exact. Neptune is here at 27 Pisces. You never really want to square to Neptune with anything because Neptune is the planet of illusion and imagination and fantasy, but unfortunately when you have a square, we're looking at more the illusory, deceptive quality of that planet. And we can also be looking at the fantastical nature of that planet, where we could be over idealizing a situation or simply not seeing it clearly. So right away we see this issue of lack of clarity happening. And then when we take it a step further and we follow the trail, the second place I always look is what is the ruler of this chart? The ruler of the chart is Mercury because Mercury rules Gemini. So I go here to Mercury at 11 degrees and we run into another problem right away. Mercury is being squared by the planet Saturn. So our first two stops here, we run into issues, and both actually deal with confusion, lack of clarity, and potential deception. So let's explore Mercury further. Mercury square Saturn. This whole last week leading up to the new moon, we've been in heavy Saturn station energies. So for people that are new, stationing is when a planet goes direct or retrograde, and Saturn has gone retrograde just prior to this new moon. So the whole week and even 2 weeks before this new moon, Saturn has been slowing down or stationing, preparing to turn directions. And when a planet slows down, we feel it more. Saturn was basically at a standstill the whole week leading up to this new moon. So we've been feeling Saturn energy. It's like that planet that's stationing, its energy is being flung at planet Earth, and we feel it more. So with Saturn, what do we feel? Well, we feel a heaviness typically. I typically feel Saturn's presence almost like things slow down and they become a little bit more restrictive. You have to sort of look at what's right in front of you. Things can feel heavy. Positively, Saturn station energies can be good for Saturnian things like responsibility, work, focus, getting things done. But it can also bring us face to face with where we're at. And we have to look at things in a very Saturnian or sober way. We can't run from them. We can't escape from them. We have to really look at what's in front of us. And with Saturn, things get real. You know, it's not really like very fun, but it's very realistic. So this has been a sort of a Saturn week leading up to this new moon. If Saturn is ill aspecting anything in your natal chart, it could have been a hard week. And Saturn square Mercury is tough as well because Mercury is our mind and our thoughts and our decision making and our communication. And so Saturn square Mercury literally sort of translates to like a serious mind or a difficult mind. And we can get more information by exploring the sign of Gemini, which is the sign that Mercury is in. And unfortunately, because Saturn is squaring Gemini, we're more likely to see the shadow of Gemini displayed here. And the shadow of Gemini is not my favorite. I don't think it's anyone's favorite, because the shadow of Gemini gets into trickery and definitely confusion. It can have that kind of Heyoka, trickster, snake oil salesman, Cheshire cat feel to it at its worst. You know, it can literally be a trickster or somebody who's being deceptive or who is lying, but it can also just simply be confusion. Like, is it this way? Is it that way? Is this the truth or is it a lie? Do I stay? Do I go? This person or that person? It's duality. Gemini is the twins. So it's like two roads and not knowing which one to take or which one is real. So you can see there's just a lot of that in this chart already where our mind is not really in a very clear place for decision making, and it's not really in a very clear place for a new moon or a new cycle. So I think just as far as we've gotten here, the first way we want to approach these energies for sure, given that Mercury, the planet of communication, is being squared by Saturn, is we want to be very clear in our communication. We want to be very integral in our communication, transparent, upfront, honest, right? It's not our fault if we don't know the truth. If we're internally confused, that's okay. A lot of people are right now, trust. But we definitely want to be in integrity. And, if we're confused, maybe communicate that. We want to be checking with our motivations and our intentions. I'll get to why later. But yes, clear communication, even if we don't have all the answers, very important at this time. Saturn in Pisces pretty much literally also breaks down to spiritual discipline as well, because Pisces is the spiritual realms and Saturn is the 3D realms of discipline and responsibility. So you put the two together and we have spiritual discipline. So we can be really leaning on grounded spiritual discipline at this time. Good routine, checking in with ourselves each day. That's going to really help, I think, ground any of the sort of indecision or chaos that the mind may be experiencing at this time for some people. Now, I talked about why we want to be cautious around relationships. And the reason I say that is that when we look at what else Mercury has going on, he's sextile Venus. And Venus will enter the first degree of her pre-shadow just 2 days later on June 19th. So is Venus in pre-shadow during this new moon? No, but she's a degree away, she's 2 days away, and it's kind of like close enough for me. Plus, Mars, you can see Mars is at 16, just a few degrees ahead of her. Mars has been walking through the degrees that she will pass through in her pre-shadow, kind of stirring those themes up already. I was saying today, it's like Mars has been laying tripwire, and then she's going to go walk through it soon. So honestly, the themes of the retrograde are sort of stirring up right now. And we see that there's a clear connection here to thoughts, Mercury, or decisions about relationships that are fast incoming and are definitely going to get a little crazy. So let's talk about this Venus retrograde on that note. This is a pretty dramatic Venus retrograde. It really is. First of all, it's in Leo. Leo is dramatic. We know this. We notice Leo energy. This Venus retrograde is probably going to be noticed by most of us. Second, Venus makes hard aspect to both Jupiter and Uranus a few times in her retrograde course. Her squares to Jupiter will magnify things and make them bigger. More dramatic, big Leo energy. Her squares to Uranus will bring in unpredictable, unforeseen surprises, plot twists, and turbulence. It's just the truth. I am not going to go too far into this retrograde right now because I'm going to do an entire webinar on it, and I'm going to be announcing that date in my next video here for the full moon, which I will get out early for that reason. But there's just so much to go into with this Venus retrograde, you guys. It's going to be post-shadow runs all the way to October. So we're going to be sinking into this one. It deserves its own whole class. I'm going to go into all the important dates, how to locate it in your chart. We're going to talk about the nodes switching to Libra, Aries, etc. So stay tuned for that. But what I will tell you right now is that it's going to be massive because on July 17th, I'll just go to it right now, the nodes will switch to Libra, Aries. Right there. Okay, so here they are in Scorpio, Taurus. We are so ready to be done with that. July 17th, boom. South node goes into Libra. Why is this important? Because as soon as South node goes into Libra and the collective starts clearing karmic themes around relationships, Libra, the ruler of Libra is Venus, and Venus will be at 28 Leo at the end of her pre-shadow and will go retrograde, boom, on July 22nd. So what that means is that this Venus retrograde is going to be taking on the role of clearing a lot of this karmic relationship stuff that the entire collective is going to be experiencing. So we are all going to be taking a very intense Leo tour into matters of the heart. And as I explained, there's going to be some squares to Jupiter and Uranus to spice things up. I won't lie, there is something pretty like indulgent and tempting about this Venus retrograde. Like, it's not all bad. There's definitely something kind of like hedonistic and risky and spicy about this retrograde. I'm sure that people will be having a lot of fun out there, but they need to be really careful, especially because of the connection to this weird new moon, right? There's almost this like curiosity killed a cat, or like deceptive, illusory quality. I'm not going to lie, it looks like it could get a little tumultuous out there. And so I think the best thing we could do, coming back to our new moon, is again, be very clear in our communications right now and be very clear with ourselves around motivations. And if something appears to be too good to be true, it likely is. That might be a bit of a red flag, and you may want to just go on a bit of a journey, which is what retrogrades are for, and make some decisions after the retrograde, which technically Venus will leave post shadow October 6th. So, and then we have eclipse season. So it's going to be a little while. Okay, so let's come back here to our new moon, and I did want to explore the tarot card associated with the last decan of Gemini, where our new moon is. And this is our card. Not the most cheerful card. This is the 10 of Swords. This is a card associated with final justice, collapse. It can be backstabbing. It can be betrayal, deceit, some element of crisis, or resisting an inevitable ending. So when I was meditating on this new moon, honestly, I was like, shit, like I'm feeling into this, and new moons are new cycles, but it's a new cycle under 10 of Swords, square Neptune, where things are very unclear. And the phrase that kept coming to mind was the beginning of an end. And I was like, man, how am I going to tell these guys that? That's like so depressing. But I do, in a way, see that, which is why we want to be very careful. And I also wanted to point out, I find this pretty interesting. If we go back to last fall, such a crazy time, and we look at that crazy Mars Neptune square that we talked about forever, when Mars went retrograde and squared Neptune, he actually went to 25 and went retrograde at 25 right there in November. That's basically where our new moon is. And that was a treacherous time where people made really weird decisions and got all turned around and didn't know where they were going. And now we have this new moon basically in the same exact area, 1 degree away. So it's almost like a weird little kind of recap of similar energies in a way, where there might be justice coming in around things that were happening last fall, potentially. Not for everybody, but definitely for some people. So yes, we definitely want to be checking in with our intentions. We want to be very clear, and we want to be in integrity during these interesting Neptunian Gemini energies. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely a bit of a weird one. Stay safe out there. But if you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and a share. I really appreciate it. And if you would like to reach out to me for a reading, you can do so. I'm putting my information up there on the screen. You can find me on my website at coyotestarastrology.com. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.